I belong to no club, and if you're unwilling to allow any discussion...
No, this isn't a discussion, it's a grilling. There's nothing I can do for you if your mind has been made up. You seem to know the answers to your questions. Why do you ask?
I'm sorry you're unwilling to defend your beliefs in any kind of rational
Oh,
way.
if you already know the answers to your questions, then why ask? Pig fuck!
What's going on, everybody? I'm here in the car again. I am so very sorry I'm doing another review by myself in the car again, but my schedule has just been insane and I haven't been able to actually get to my room and actually produce an actual professional looking video. So I just really want to get this review out to you guys. So again, I apologize, you know, if this car setup is really bothersome to at least to some of you guys, but I have a really exciting film to talk about. Obviously, you know what it is because you clicked on the video. This is Paul Thomas Anderson's The Master. So, for those who watch this channel and have been following me for some time, you all know that Paul Thomas Anderson is my guy. Like, honestly, if I'm ranking my favorite, modern directors, Paul Thomas Anderson is at least top 3, if not number 1. Like, I haven't actually put enough brain power to that kind of subject yet to actually assess if he is, like, you know, my favorite or not. But he has to be just, like, you know, if I'm just judging right off the cuff, he has to be top 3. That guy is just a stellar director. For those who watch my channel, you guys know that There Will Be Blood is my second all-time favorite movie ever made. That I think that is basically a perfect masterpiece. There's not many films that I can say that are just absolutely perfect. There Will Be Blood is a perfect film. I actually have an awesome scene analysis on that film as well. Please check it out. It's called There Will Be Blood, Scene Analysis, Daniel's Baptism. I'm actually really proud of that video. There's a lot of content that I make that I absolutely hate and I just can't stand watching. But that's a video that I'm actually genuinely proud of, and I really hope that it's one day it gets more out there because I really enjoyed what I had to say and how I put that video together. So please check that out. I'm done chilling. So let's get back to the film that we're talking about here, which is The Master. It stars Philip Seymour Hoffman, Joaquin Phoenix, and Amy Adams. So right off the bat, that's just a stellar cast. Loads of talent there. Especially with Joaquin Phoenix and Philip Seymour Hoffman. I mean, that's a fucking dynamic duo if I ever heard of it. And yeah, so obviously with all of these factors going into it, I was highly excited to fucking finally watch this movie. And guys, of course, once again, Paul Thomas Anderson knocks it out of the park and just creates absolutely breathtaking cinema. And God, just what a... You know what? Before I really get into the direction, let me just say, well, I guess this is part of the direction, but let me just say that this film contains some of the best performances that I've ever seen in film, ever. And I haven't seen as much films as a lot of people that I know, but I can't think of any film right now, just right off the top of my head, that I've seen such stellar performances. Joaquin Phoenix, this is arguably maybe his best performance ever. Like, and you know, even with Joker out, and even with, you know, a lot of films that he's in that is just like, he just gives incredible, that he just gives an incredible performance in. The Master is one of those films where, like, it's just like, you can't even believe that this man has this much acting talent and has never won an Oscar. Because it's, I mean, I don't know who won the Oscar that year for, I don't know if his role in this is considered best supporting or best leading. But whatever category he was in, like, I don't even have to know who else was out that year, or who else got the Oscar nom that year. I don't have to know. I already know that right off the bat after watching this film that Joaquin Phoenix deserved that award, because holy shit, guys! Like, I'm not even exaggerating. Like, I'm not, you know, being hyperbolic. I'm not doing it for the sake of just like shock value here. Like, the performances in this film are just really out of this fucking world. I know that I just talked about Joaquin Phoenix, Philip Seymour Hoffman as well. I could be wrong. I think he might have actually won the award for this. Not sure, but if he did, it was a highly deserving win, because this guy, rest in peace, man. It just, especially after watching this, I'm like, why, man? Like, why? Why did he have to just go? Because he could have just given us so many great films, so many astonishing performances, and God, he's just such a fucking phenomenal actor. And after watching this film, you're just like, wow, this man has serious talent. His delivery is just on point. It's perfect. There's a few scenes in particular that have to do with hypnosis, where he just knocks it out of the park. And I guess since I'm on the topic of like what the film actually, you know, the subject that the film actually handles, this film has to do with the subject of cults and religions and things of that nature, which is something that obviously is going to appeal to me, because that's just like a big subject of mine. You know, for those who, you know, watch my mother video and other videos like I have on the Holy Mountain and Mandy, you guys know that like religion and philosophy and all that stuff is something that I have a huge interest in. I actually have a minor in philosophy. I've taken over like six courses on it, but this film, yes, it does go into the topic of cults, and this is basically like a parallel to Scientology. Like this film doesn't come out and say that it's Scientology or even really assumes it, but you just know, like, especially through the method of hypnosis, and how Philip Seymour Hoffman's character kind of exploits his own talent for doing this to people, for his own powerful gain. You know, this is very reminiscent of stuff that we have come to learn about Scientology. And, you know, I really love that this film is obviously criticizing it, but at the same time, it's unafraid to actually show you that there is an appeal, and show you why there is a certain appeal to people when it comes to these kind of cults. And I really, really enjoyed that aspect of the film. Of course, pretty much every PTA film is riddled with nuance, and nothing ever comes off as black and white. And I love that this film, you know, just wasn't taking just one side to say one thing. It's definitely a more complex film than that. Sure, like I said, it does criticize it pretty harshly, but again, without being preachy, just kind of just showing you why something like this is negative, but at the same time, like I just said, showing you why people would be drawn towards something like this. And I just love the way that the subject was handled. And yeah, you know, going into this, it's a pretty serious subject, and if you don't handle it with finesse, you know, it's going to be criticized harshly, because then it just comes off as propaganda or just false. And also, again, like how it just exploits things like therapeutic hypnosis and stuff like that. Because, you know, people can get a lot of that inspiring positive thoughts about themselves and life through just therapy, but instead, like, these people are using that as a tool to enrich themselves and control others. And I loved how that concept was conveyed in this film. So yeah, I really enjoyed how the film handled the subject. And as far as the film's aesthetic value, it's no surprise. It's a Paul Thomas Anderson film. The fucking camera work is gonna be just like really delicate and beautifully framed throughout the entire film. The score, by the way, like, one thing I just love about Paul Thomas Anderson films is not only is the camera work beautiful, but the score is just so unorthodox, and it's so unique, and just like the sounds that are created to really give this film a certain life to it. It's just unlike something that you've really heard of. It's something that it's really unlike something that you've ever immersed yourself into as well. And it's like, from every film that I've seen, Punch Drunk Love is definitely a huge one, to where the score is just utilized in such a odd way, but it just works. And I mean, I do have some slight nitpicks with the score in Punch Drunk Love, but overall, I really appreciate its ambition. And There Will Be Blood, great example. The score there is just astonishing, but incredibly odd. Like, anybody who's just a casual watching it is just going to be probably thrown off by, you know, the score choices. But the Master, again, like, it just has that unique score to it throughout the film that, one, makes the film seem more seamless than it already is. And on top of that, it just creates such a unique atmosphere. Like, it just creates, again, like, it kind of goes back to that topic of nuance. Like, it just makes the film feel a little bit more nuanced and smart with what it's doing. And yeah, I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty immersive overall. And yeah, I guess if I have anything critical to say about it, I will say that the first 2 acts of this film I thought were really engaging and nearly perfect, but I didn't find the 3rd act to be all that remarkable. I thought the 3rd act was kind of just hammering away at a point that I feel like it already was making throughout the film. And, you know, if only I think the film had something a little bit more new to say in the 3rd act, maybe I could have enjoyed the 3rd act a bit more. But since, you know, it kind of went the route of, you know, just trying to hammer away at a point that, again, I believe was already made in the 1st and 2nd act, it made me less engaged. It made the film feel like it was dragging just a bit. Because, you know, as I stated earlier, the film does go into messages about, you know, what is the appeal behind these cults? You know, why are people drawn to stuff like this? And, you know, I feel like we kind of got that in the 1st and 2nd act, and then in its conclusion, I mean, I think it's definitely there to say something about Joaquin Phoenix's character as well, and really just about all the characters in general. And I really feel like maybe that's why it's there, because it's more like thematic towards the character, but not its overall theme. But I feel like it was just maybe a little bit less intriguing than it was. Not saying it was boring or anything. I enjoyed the film in its entirety, don't get me wrong. But I did feel like the conclusion in the 3rd act wasn't as inspiring or as thought-provoking as the 1st and 2nd act. But maybe that's just me. I don't know. There are people that I've talked to that consider this a masterpiece. I really, really enjoyed this film a lot. And I don't think it's a perfect film, obviously, but there's just so much going for it with the performances and the entire aesthetic value, with the direction too and everything. Like, Paul Thomas Anderson knows what the fuck he's doing, man. That guy is a filmmaker, and I can't wait to see what else he's cooking up in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and give The Master an 8.8 out of 10. I know that's kind of a weird grade. I should probably just go ahead and give it the 9, but something about that ending and the conclusion, it was a little bit underwhelming for me. But the film overall wasn't underwhelming. The film was a great piece of artwork, and I really enjoyed it. And who knows, maybe if I watch it again, maybe I'll get something more out of it. Maybe it'll bother me less, I'm not sure. But either way, this was a brilliant film. And again, like, I really liked what I had to say when it came to its themes about cults and the overall humanistic appeal to them. And again, and also just the power-hungry nature of it, as well as the people that run it and create it. But yeah, guys, that's all I got to say about it. If you really enjoyed what I had to say about The Master, please give this video a thumbs up and share it amongst your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to be updated on more film-related content.